This is a true story by Blissful Disobedience. Her grandmother was a force of nature, a woman who commanded respect, love, and admiration. They are an Italian family, and when her grandmother passed, they held on tightly to her memory, refusing to let go. The house where she lived with her grandparent was locked up tight. No one entered for 10 long years, except for the occasional cleaning to maintain it untouched as if frozen in time. It wasn't just a house, it was a living, breathing part of her, filled with the echoes of the past. When they finally bought the house and started clearing it out, they expected it to be a bittersweet experience, but nothing prepared them for what lay ahead. Everything was exactly as it had been the day her grandmother died. The same old furniture, the same dust settled on heirlooms that hadn't been touched in a decade. She didn't know then, but the house, it wasn't just filled with memories, it was filled with something else.
The first night we stayed there, the air was thick and oppressive, as if the house itself was trying to suffocate us. The heat was unbearable, sweltering even for the middle of summer. My teenage kids, eager to explore the house, dug through old trunks and dressers, trying on Grandma's fancy robes, her jewelry, and even the wiglets she used to wear for special occasions. It was almost as though the house was watching us, waiting. The real terror came later that night. In the dead of the night, my 19-year-old daughter came running into our room. There was a woman standing at the foot of my bed. She said she'd sat up to pull the quilt up over her, and there she was. A woman, tall and still, staring at her with cold, unblinking eyes. We laughed it off at first, thinking it was a bad dream, but she refused to go back to that room. That night she slept in our bed, and many nights after. However, when I told her that we were sleeping in the same bed, where my grandfather had passed away, she swore she would never set foot in that room again. The second night in the house was worse. My husband woke up in the middle of the night, staring at the dark hallway. He thought he saw someone walking down the corridor, heading toward the bathroom. Thinking it was one of the kids, he got up to check, but found nothing.
It was probably just headlights passing by,
he said, ever the skeptic, trying to explain it away. But deep down, I knew there was something more to it. Days passed without incident. But then the smell started. In the dead of night, I'd wake to the rich aroma of brewing coffee and burnt toast, my grandfather's favorite breakfast. There was no one there, and the kitchen was dark, but the smell lingered, thick in the air, almost as if he was still there, making his breakfast just as he used to. Then came the picture. My daughter went next door to check on the dog at our cousin's house and returned with an old family reunion photo. She handed it to me, her eyes wide. This is her. This is the woman who was standing at the end of my bed. My daughter had never met my grandmother. She passed before she was born. But there she was, standing at the foot of her bed, as if waiting. I couldn't ignore it anymore. One night, I went down to the basement, alone, standing amidst the shadows where I could almost feel my grandmother's presence. Grandma, I love you. I'll take care of the house you and Grandpa built, but this isn't your time anymore. It's time to move on.
The air grew still, quiet, unnervingly quiet. It was as if the house itself was holding its breath. And from that night on, everything stopped. The cold spots disappeared. The woman at the foot of the bed was never seen again. The smells, the strange noises, the eerie presence all gone. The house was finally at peace, she thinks. Her grandma heard her, but every so often when she walked through the old house she can still feel her grandma watching over them. It's not as frightening anymore, but she can't help but wonder if her grandma ever truly left. For more true scary stories, like and subscribe at Fear4You.